get ground balls, get as many ground balls, more possessions, more shots, more goals. That's going to be a win for Stony Brook.
Tanner Williams angles to the corner, sends it to X. Stony Brook operating out of the back 15. Another meeting with a top 20 Rutgers team. Oh, had a player right on the back door for Stony Brook. Did not get to the intended target. They recover. 15 seconds to work with. Straight on go. Low save by Stoller. Rebound still loose. Stony Brook recovers and scores. Brendan Marino is Johnny on the spot. And the sophomore has the first Laval Stadium tally this year for Stony Brook. It's 1-0.
Yeah, and that's like Johnny on the spot, as you said, but this is really a smart play by Stony Brook because you have a broken stick on the field by one of the Rutgers players, and this leads to an unsettled situation. You get a shot, nice save by Stoller, but Marino pops back in, makes it. And that's like Johnny on the spot, as you said, but this is really a smart play by Stony Brook because you have a broken stick on the field by one of the Rutgers players, and this leads to an unsettled situation. You get a shot, nice save by Stoller, but Marino pops back in, makes a nice play, guts it in out on the inside, gets a couple checks, but puts it away.
Back to the all-important face-off dot. Rutgers has 2 for 2. But again, Stony Brook, Greg, does get the first tally despite losing the first 2 face-offs. There's Colin Curtilla, a star attacker, escorts into the near side corner. 27 goals last year. How about this one? Behind the back tally, it is Grayson Forgang. And you might be seeing that one tomorrow morning. First on the road for Rutgers is an absolute dandy.
Brandon, if you're Tommy Wilk, there's not much you can do about that. That is a great feed.
Told you about the season opening victory in January down in Florida for Brian Breck's group. A hard-fought 11-10 win over Jacksonville, a team that just topped North Carolina the other day. Rutgers returned home, had to play in the bubble due to the bad weather against top 15 Army, lost that game 11-9. Turn in looking for a shooting lane, Shane Murphy.
You know, Johnny, it's just so early in the season, you're just trying to figure out what your team is still, right? Playing in January and early February.
Curtilla surveys his options at X. Very tight coverage by Stony Brook. Curtilla through the wickets. 9 seconds remaining on the shot clock. He goes through the legs of Tommy Wilk. And back-to-back tallies as number 18 Rutgers into the lead for the first time today.
He does a nice job hanging up his defender, and then he gets a short stick to slide to him. And once you do that as an attackman...
Remaining in the first quarter. First look at the Seawolves group for the Seawolves faithful. Whether you're doing it at Laval Stadium here or back on your couch on SNY. But most of the names and numbers should be familiar. They bring back 91% of their scoring from last year, and they kind of deserve it. Only brought back about 5% of their scoring going into last season.
Yeah, nothing concerns you more than not knowing what you have. But they do know what they have, and they got a nice young team. They just got to put it all together, and that's what they're looking to do right now. And no better guy to do it than have Kean McCoy.
McCoy bounces, friendly fire, the poke. Do they count it? Yes, they do. Just how Anthony Collardi drew it up. Stony Brook ties the game with 5:05 remaining, and it is Brendan Marino yet again. Johnny on the spot.
This is just like a hockey goal, right? Where you just, you turn and face the goalie and wait to knock it in. 2 in a row for him. I mean, you'll take them any way you can get. But
fire there at the center of the field for Stony Brook, but the chase is on. Whistle awards it to Rutgers yet again. So Stony Brook certainly in this first quarter, 2-2, despite not really getting into it at the face-off dot. Much was the issue on Saturday last week.
You know what, Johnny, even though that Rutgers gets the ball and you get a bad push from behind here, that's the kind of face-off that Stony Brook wants to get. They want to get a loose ball on the carpet. They want somebody, a defenseman picking it up, running away from the offensive end. That's almost a win for Stony Brook.
Distance effort counted. Colin Zeller zips it by Tommy Wilk. And the sophomore, already his 5th goal of the season. Rutgers grabs the lead right back from Stony Brook.
And if you're a young player at home and you watch Zeller go to the goal, he gets one hard check to the arm when the defender pulls it away to throw another one.
Not a good feed, though, by Will Burney. Easily scooped up by Dylan Groff. Second time we've called on the defenseman number 16 for good reason. Told you the defensive player of the week in the Big Ten. And he deserved it. Had to defend Hill Plunkett, the previous Patriot League player of the week for Army, and did a nice job shutting down one of the better offensive players.
Absolutely. And you know what? I got to give Rutgers a lot of credit right now. You know what they're doing? They're allowing the midfielder to get to the middle of the field, and that's kind of like no man's land for a minute. And then they're doubling, tripling, teaming them. So they're leaving kind of the middle of the field open. If you're Stony Brook, you really want to get to the far side of the field, away from the box to clear it. I think it'll be a little easier for them. Don't just kind of jump on that open pass, because that's what they want.
Jordan Lawler scores. First quarter party continues for the Scarlet Knights. 4 goals from 4 different players. And they've got their second multiple goal lead, courtesy of Justin Lawler, who has found the score sheet for the first time this year.
That's a nice little split bit of a possession here. Nice and easy here, clearing the ball. They let the ball do the work. Get it into the offensive end. Settle up your offensive players.
That ball, by the way, as Greg keenly noted, and kind of gave me a professor's lesson before the game, the ball is green today. Home team does have the option to change the color of the ball. We're surrounded by the white snow. We're going with neon green.
Yeah, and it's...
Stoller, did he get it? It was underneath Stoller. Goal for Stony Brook. Oh, it was close with 92 seconds remaining in the first quarter. They will credit the goal to Stony Brook. And it's Carson Boyle, who loves playing against Rutgers, at a hat trick last year.
Yeah, it's almost like a one-timer. He gets it real quick. He's got his hands cocked back, ready to go, fire away. Stoller's not going to be happy about this one, right? Because he sees it the entire way. He just doesn't glove it the way he wants to. Ooh, Johnny, you kind of had to look here after you're watching the replay. Maybe not.
I'm not sure how many different angles we are afforded here. That was tight. Official right on top of it. Good 3-man crew today. Mike Harold, Fred McCarrick, and Brendan Schroeder. And it is a 7-goal first quarter between these two rivals out of the Empire and Garden States. Down to the doorstep it goes. Oh, from an impossible angle. Second goal of the quarter for Grayson Forkane.
Yeah, Adams picks it up off the carpet, and he is going full speed. I was a little surprised at how slow Stony Brook was on their second slide in that action here when Vorgan, unbelievable. And obviously we know what he can do on the field as well too.
Shot clock down to 25. Cardilla from distance. Wilt gets low. Ricochets into the far corner. Diving effort by the Stony Brook defender and Ryan Dodge. Couldn't get it cleanly.
And you know what? White ball, green ball, doesn't matter. That one's going to hurt Tommy later because that hit him right on the inside of the foot.
Even during this, what Brian Brett called heat wave, 30-plus degrees.
And look, he did it again. He was able to hang his defender.
Right at the doorstep, beautiful finish. Colin Kelly from Brady Cardilla. And everybody getting involved in the score sheet for Rutgers. It is 6 goals from 6 different players.
And that back to that little 2-man game behind the goal. They hang up a defender from Stony Brook. They've kind of been doing it all game long so far. And they get...
This lead of this first half for Rutgers. And on a whistle, Stony Brook will lose another face-off.
And this one, they got him at kicking the cross, actually, believe it or not. So it's none of those technicals, and now, another Rutgers possession. And you know what, Johnny, you were saying it's 6 goals from 5 different players. That's really important if you're Brian Brecht. You start thinking about that because you know what Cardilla can do, and you know what a couple other guys can do. But if you can rotate the wealth, it's always better when more guys are scoring.
Another effort beats Tommy Wilk. Casey Monchillo, RSVPs, yes.
Rutgers goal.
It is a 7 spot for the 18th ranked Scarlet Knights. And an early timeout here by Anthony Collardi.
It's a nice dodge and read.
It's remaining on the shot clock. We'll see what Colin Cardilla can do here out of the red painted end zone after the miss by Colin Kelly. 3 seconds, 2 and 1, and Rutgers will give up the possession.
Yeah, I think they smartly tried to make look for a quick cut to the inside, and when they didn't have it, they dumped it. Get your defensive personnel on, look to ride here. So right now you're seeing Rutgers is just pushed out in that 10-man ride. Stony Brook barely able to get it across field.
Burney from distance. Stoller out of his cage, and Will Burney fills it. Well-needed tally for Stony Brook. 7-4 game. Still more than 10 minutes remaining in the first half.
This is the risk you take when you go 10-man ride. You bring the goalie out of the cage to cover some.
Good job by Ryan Splain going through the splits. And a flag has been thrown right by the 40-yard line. This is going against Stony Brook. That will not aid the home team's cause in these final 2 minutes. And a shot, it's a goal. They had Stony Brook fooled. And Shane Murphy deposits. The Scarlet Knights complete a trick play here at Stony Brook. And they have doubled up the Seawolves at 8-4. This first half, and they are already nearing double digits in their first true road game of the season. Stick with us at the end of the first half. Greg Taylor will be turf side with Stony Brook head coach Anthony Collardi, as they will try to make some halftime adjustments in their first home game of the 2026 season. Dealing with the 18th ranked team in the country, it is another. Make it 9 first half goals for Rutgers, and their largest lead of the game at 5. Offensive end.
And you know, that's what young teams do. They do one thing well, and then they kind of fall apart in a different direction. I think that's a great coaching move right there, to come out in your first possession in a zone, change things up for Stony Brook. And it kind of confuses Rutgers a little bit, gets them out of their rhythm.
Even with the 5-goal lead right now for Rutgers, turnover department 10 and 10. And obviously where it matters in that department, 9 and 4.
Rutgers have been turning the ball over in their 6-on-6 set, where Stony Brook has been really turning it over in transition.
On the move for a low shot that squeaks through Stoller. Tanner Williams buries his 3rd of the season. It is a well-timed tally for Stony Brook. 4-goal game early here in the first half.
Yeah, this is a nice dodge right to the middle of the field, overhand lefty, and you're right, sneaks it past Stoller. He's going to want to have that one back. He's going to be on the bus if I was the Rutgers DC.
How good is Greg Taylor's money?
It could be like Bitcoin money right now.
Find out in the next 22 seconds. Here's McCoy. Deposits near side. McCoy has it centrally located, serving as that traffic cop on the man-up unit. Big drive goes wide. Still 12 seconds on the penalty. Stony Brook looking for the first 2 tallies of half number 2. Great feed, great shot, great goal. First of the game for Justin Panacci. It's a power play goal.
So they do get the ball to McCoy on the backside. He just hits a cutting Bonacci to the middle of the field. Nice hand, soft, puts it right over Stoller. You know, good goalies aren't immune to getting a little wrap.
For those who are bearing the conditions, and again, this is about as good as it's been in the last few weeks.
Yeah, I think Coach Brett calling it a heat wave. Johnny, I was down on the sideline. That was no heat wave. I mean, it's warmer, but it's not a heat wave.
Yeah, always better to see the snow on the edges of the turf rather than right down the middle. Only 15 seconds to work with. Lengthy possession here for Rutgers. A lot of moving parts. Low shot, wide of Wilk. It'll be backed up by the road team with 10 seconds. All under the guidance of their first-year offensive coordinator, Scott Pita. Murphy, flip to the front, Curtilla scores. The 1-2 punch, back at it again with 5 seconds remaining on the timer. It is another answer by Rutgers.
And it, very similar again as well, too. You just got that little inside action. You get the defenders to turn your head. You get Della Pizzi just to turn his eyes for a second, and Curtilla gets a nice lens.
Oh, Curtilla, nearly 2 goals in 8 seconds. Tommy Wilk provides his 7th save. And Rutgers does back up the opportunity behind Wilk's net.
And that's a big save by Tommy right there. Right, a goal right there could send you reeling a little bit if you're Stony Brook, especially after you got a little momentum on your side.
John Scarelli has taken each and every face-off today. He has now taken 55 out of the 59 opportunities this year. Far side shot under Wilk for the goal. It is a hat trick for Grayson Forgang. And Rutgers responds after the first 2 by Stony Brook. Another jab by Brian Breck's group.
And this is one of those things, when you play this zone, he gets that wing defender to slide in. Forgang gets his hands free, uses the coming defender as a screen and puts it past Wilk in a nice location on the far side of the pipe.
Stony Brook Reddies for their 4th year in the Coastal. Greg, we noted 11 of their top 12 scorers are back, but it's a very young team from last year. Stony Brook into the O-zone. Marino couldn't catch cleanly. And the offensive possession salvaged by number 0, Tanner Williams, and down to the doorstep. Stony Brook does take advantage. Kean McCoy. And it's back to a 4-goal game.
You know, I wouldn't necessarily call Stony Brook a transition team, but they play very well in that unsettled situation. A loose ball in the middle of the field, they retain possession, they move it twice. That's always the key when you pick up a ball in the offensive end. Move it twice, and the guy who's got to clear it and get yourself settled on the offensive end.
Shots on goal, 19-11 in favor of Rutgers. Big-bodied Canadian Ryan Parker deposits to the back 15. Bonacci with the quick steps. Bonacci being defended by the only returning defenseman in the starting lineup, Ben McKelvey. Carson Boyle, goals in consecutive seasons against Rutgers. He does it again, his 2nd of the game. Carson Boyle in a big moment for Stony Brook, and they have trimmed the deficit to just 3.
He gets to his strong hand, gets himself in the middle of the field, in between those hash marks, and he puts it in a nice location. It almost felt like putting the man up is because Bonacci's such a good outside shooter. When you have that, it stretches the defense out, and you can find guys on the inside. Just don't know if Marino was going to be prepared to get a shot off receiving that feed.
Does Rutgers have another offensive response? They've already scored 2 more goals today than they scored in the entire game against Army. How about that defensive play? Will Perney. He charted free. Stony Brook in transition. Right down the seam. Goal! It's the D-man, Ryan Dodge. He goes the distance. It is a 2-goal game with 4:36 remaining in the second.
This is a nice behind-the-back check that he has on him. Dodge, great ground ball, and he goes straight to it. So Bernie starts it off with that check from behind, the over-the-head check, and a nice location by Dodge for the goal.
Still Cavallari continues to take whacks from TJ Conley.
TJ Conley is from Fayetteville Manlius. I happen to know his assistant, his high school coach, Derek Reyna. Excellent player for Stony Brook. You can see why he's so good defensively. Derek was such a good midfielder.
And the good defense continued on Cavallari. Could not fire away a good shot. Yeah, that is red number 4, TJ Conley. Manlius, of course, in the Syracuse area, the Salt City.
Yeah, you know, we talk about Long Island being a hotbed.
Goal by Stony Brook. And after all that, it is Jack Cavallari. Justin Bonacci, the special delivery. And it's a 6-goal third quarter. Stony Brook has made it a 1-goal game.
They're doing a nice job looking on the inside and putting it home. That's a real nice cut and finish right there. I tell you what, you can feel it in the stadium.
With it.
So I think in that location, I think Young was a little bit too far away. He was almost kind of like shooting back. It might have been an opportunity for him to pass it to the wing or to X and see if they could get something on the inside. But there wasn't a lot of time on the clock, so you never know.
Just the 5th save of the game for Cardin Stoller. Stony Brook has had a small measure of success against him in 2 previous matchups.
You know, Johnny, you had mentioned that before, that Stony Brook has been able to get to him before, and you were right, 100% on that.
First time for everything. Cardillo winding, shooting and scoring. Oh, too easy for number 88, who has his 3rd hat trick in as many tries this season.
And as you're watching now, this is going to be one of those things where he actually gets himself in between 2 zones. He gets his hands free with the ball on his stick, and he uses the defender as a screen.
Goal by Brendan Kelly.
One of the ways that you're going to beat a zone is obviously getting the lanes, but also those backdoor cuts. When you can cut in and out of the crease, and Rutgers has been doing a nice job of that. When you can cut in and out of the crease, you can get somebody who's ball watching you. Kind of find a little lane for yourself for a shot.
Not sure if it's coming through on the crowd mic. The wind picking up in a big way here in the 4th quarter. And this is just business as usual again for Stony Brook. 7 games decided by 2 or fewer last year. The lollipop feed leads to a goal. Brendan Marino has a hat trick. Stony Brook has sliced the deficit to just 1, 12-11.
It was really just a speed dodge behind the goal. I thought he was trying to feed to the crease. It goes over the top. Marino with a nice lefty shot, puts it in a good location, and beats Stoller again. That was good offense.
Here is your save of the game by Tommy Wilk. 10 yards in the cage. Shot deflected. Bonacci recovers. Scramble out in front. Stoller emerges.
The question now is, if they get another shot off, does Tommy have that kind of save in him again, right? So can you protect yourself and the crease long enough here?
11 save performance for Tommy Wilk. He cannot stop that one. An absolute laser by Justin Lawler. And the most timely tally of the game belongs to number 40. He has a hat trick here on the road.
Yeah, and what he does right there is he takes advantage of an unsettled situation. Stony Brook only has 5 defenders back, but they don't recognize that they have. Maybe change your plane. That's what the argument would be. He's shooting high to high right there. He's got to go high-low, or he's got to go at least side-on and maybe kind of rise it up a little bit.
Time is dwindling here in the Stony Brook Seawolves. Trying to avoid an 0-2 start to the 2026 season. They defeated Rutgers on the road last year 9-8. Brian Preck's group looking for the dagger on the road. Colin Cardilla looking his brother's way, Brady. Here is Colin, all on his lonesome. He needs no help. Fourth of the game for Colin Cardilla, and it may be the dagger at home for Stony Brook.
And once again, he's able to hang his defender behind the goal, especially in that zone. He does a nice inside roll, uses his body to push up against Delapilzi, and then inside rolls,